Hey guys, Ubisoft invited me to play Far Cry New Dawn, and I did everything from fight gators for medical marijuana, get high off of mutant skunks, and raid an aircraft carrier for a bunch of scraps! I played for a couple of hours, and New Dawn kind of surprised me. From what I played, I think I enjoyed this more than Far Cry 5. Now, there's going to be no commentary gameplay in this video, but first, I wanted to talk about what New Dawn is, what's different, what's new, what they've changed, and what I thought. So let's quickly but thoroughly break it down. Similar to Far Cry Primal, New Dawn is standalone, so you don't need to own Far Cry 5 to play it. Though if you did play Far Cry 5, the story does continue in New Dawn's campaign, and you're going to be seeing some familiar faces. Like Far Cry 5, New Dawn is co-op and also non-linear, meaning that once you're thrust into the game, you can go wherever you'd like in the map. You can choose whichever mission you'd like to do first, but let's just address it. This is a post-apocalyptic Far Cry. Global nuclear apocalypse. What does this mean for the world of Far Cry? Some animals were mutated. We're using cans as silencers and flashlights as scopes. New Dawn takes place 17 years after the nukes dropped. 17 years after the events of Far Cry 5, and people have already started to rebuild. And apparently it's no big thing to have a robot arm. To be fair, they've been a thing since World War II. Now, I really liked Far Cry as a post-apocalyptic shooter. Personally, I felt a lot of Far Cry things work with this aesthetic really well. Although I enjoyed Far Cry 5, there were some things I didn't enjoy about it. I didn't really care for crafting, and although I liked the map being a remote county in the United States, it did feel at odds with the absolute mayhem of Far Cry gameplay. It felt a little strange, and the style of gameplay in Far Cry, it just feels so much more at home in this setting for me personally. I didn't expect the post-apocalyptic setting to make as much of a difference as it did, but the whole crafting and gathering system feels much more natural, and it actually fits the aesthetic. I love the creativity they put into these makeshift weapons and vehicles. Some of these look downright dangerous. I mean, check out this bayonet. It's a screwdriver. If you get stabbed with one of these things, you're pretty much screwed. I know what some of you guys are thinking. This is only 17 years after the apocalypse. This is the apocalypse! Where's my sepia? Why isn't everything dead? Well, New Dawn's vision of a post-nuclear war may be a colorful one, but it's not unrealistic. Even the copious amounts of flowers you're seeing aren't unrealistic. It's a super bloom. The developers actually did a lot of research in talking with people whose job it is to calculate the real-life ramifications of a nuclear fallout. So we do know that a nuclear apocalypse potentially wouldn't look too different than this in many cases. However, we don't know if people would choose to spray paint their apocalypse compounds pink. But I'm pretty sure I would. It's kitschy. I don't think I should wait any longer to mention one of the biggest, most surprising changes. They implemented a light RPG system. Weapons and enemies are ranked. The higher the enemy's rank, the higher the rank of weapon you should use in killing them. Obviously, you can use lower ranking weapons against higher ranking enemies, but that's going to be more difficult. The stronger, higher rank enemies have better gear. You can spot them by their increased armor coverage. It's like the opposite of how armor works in MMOs. And of course, there's various types of enemies, for instance, flamethrower enemies. But beyond the 3 ranks, or tiers of enemies, you've got something called the Enforcers. I didn't encounter any of these guys, but they're supposed to be the toughest enemies in the game, and they're pretty much covered head to toe in armor. If you stir up too much trouble for the Highwaymen, they send in the Enforcers after you. This light RPG system is going to be a divisive change for some, but I do like that it's done with 3 straightforward ranks, which I definitely prefer to a dizzying number of levels. I'm going to be very interested to see what Far Cry fans think of the RPG light system in Far Cry New Dawn. Obviously, you're not going to truly know how you like it or how you don't like it until you play with it for a little while, but I would like to know your initial thoughts on that in the comment section below. I can't speak for the story because I didn't play very far into it, but the basic setting is this. You have people trying to rebuild out of the ashes of civilization, and you have the people trying to tear it all down again. The latter are known as Highwaymen, led by the twin sisters that are supposed to be the main villains. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're not. There could be a twist. No, seriously, I don't know. Like I said earlier, the story of New Dawn does expand upon the story and ending of Far Cry 5, and you'll see returning characters that I won't spoil here. The map of Hope County has undergone a fair amount of changes, and it's kind of neat to see how various areas have changed. Some areas or buildings are in ruins, or have been repurposed as settlements or strongholds, or they've been entirely overtaken by the Superbloom. From what I've played, it doesn't feel like an empty map either. There seem to not only be a good amount of main missions and side missions, but also a bunch of dynamic events going on in the world at any given time. Especially people getting eaten by wildlife. You'll see highwayman convoys driving through the map that you can either capture, which is tricky but scores you a better reward, or destroy, which is easier but yields a smaller reward. And if you actually do capture it, you gotta bring it back to your base, which means more potential for enemy danger. Risk versus reward is a recurring theme in Far Cry New Dawn. Occasionally, you'll see highwayman supplies being dropped from planes. You can try and intercept these for loot, and if you're fast enough and lucky enough, you may even leave without a fight. Speaking of which, I didn't get a chance to try stealth. I totally forgot, but perks have returned, and there's most likely a perk that helps you to avoid detection. Outside of the bayonet screwdriver, the most apocalyptic gun that I saw was this gun that shoots saw blades that bounce off of walls and can go through multiple enemies, which is pretty cool. You can upgrade your saw gun to shoot multiple saw blades at once, which is even cooler, but you can upgrade it to shoot homing saw blades, which is coolest, and I have no idea how that works. Why can't we build things like that before the apocalypse? Do we not have the technology?
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Knife melee kills have returned. Guns for hire return, including the addition of the best gun for hire they're ever gonna make. You can still customize your character and choose your gender. And the best new feature in the game that I regrettably did not get to do, your dog can now ride in vehicles with you. It's beautiful. Some of the stuff I found around the map was pretty cool. I stumbled upon this crypt beneath the church, but to unlock the door I needed a key card, which I had to wrestle a bear for after summoning the bear by ringing the church's bell with a gun. The highwayman trained him to respond to the bell when you shoot it. I don't know why. It seemed like a bad idea. And of course, how could I forget? Traveling down into a pit.
So squeamish about butts. It's nature's pocket.
That I had to flood to get back out of, to retrieve someone's dope, and fighting gators to get it. Is good. Of course, a lot of gameplay loops return, such as hunting and crafting. You can hunt animals for furs, or hunt fish for fish, which you can trade for crafting materials. You can use those materials to then craft special ammunition, explosives, weapons, and vehicles. But the most important resource is ethanol. Now, I didn't know that gasoline goes stale after 3 years, but it does. Which is why ethanol is basically the currency of New Dawn instead of gasoline. People need energy, so it's key for upgrading your home base. More on the home base in a minute. Liberating Outposts is one of the ways that you earn ethanol, and sometimes other prizes as well, but what makes Outposts different this time around is how they're replayable. After you take an outpost, it becomes a fast travelable safe zone that gradually earns resources, but you can choose to scavenge the outpost for all of its resources and abandon it so the highwaymen retake it with stronger enemies and better defenses, thereby raising the level of challenge and giving you greater rewards the next time you try and take it. It's basically the apocalyptic version of Mayan agriculture. Another new addition are expeditions. They're quick, get in, get the package, and get out extractions. They take you out of the map, out of Hope County, to different areas of the country, like Louisiana, the West Coast, Arizona, so it's kind of cool to see different parts of America and how they look following the nukes. All that matters is grabbing the package and getting to the chopper. So it pays to be surgical about these missions. It'd be kind of cool if they were timed. Although, maybe the higher level difficulties are difficult enough without it. Still, that's something that they could easily add in the future. You can bring a gun for hire on these missions, you can play them co-op, you can play them solo. Expeditions contain the rarest resources, and like Outposts, expeditions are more challenging and more rewarding every time you do them. And every time you play an expedition, the layout and objective areas change, which really helps someone like me not minding replaying it for more resources, especially if I happen to like the particular expedition. Prosperity, your home. It's up to you to make that name accurate. Investing in prosperity is investing in yourself. And I know that sounds like an MLM company, but in this case it's true. You are a boss babe. Upgrading various facilities in the base changes their look and improves things like medkit efficiency or allows you to craft higher ranking weapons or vehicles. And in order to upgrade facilities, you need ethanol. But in order to upgrade facilities beyond a certain level, you first need to upgrade prosperity through tasks like rescuing specialists, which smooths out progression a bit instead of letting someone like myself just straight gun it for the awesome death copter without balancing myself at least a little bit. Anyway, that's just about everything that is new or different about Far Cry New Dawn without getting into minutia of stats or something. It is at its core a Far Cry game, which is not a bad thing. The Far Cry system is a good system, but they do change the system. They're trying some new things. Personally, I think a lot of the changes are an improvement over Far Cry 5, but this is also a fun post-apocalyptic shooter, and if you're feeling like a fun post-apocalyptic shooter and you enjoy Far Cry's gameplay, this is worth looking into. In any case, once again, thank you to Ubisoft for inviting me out to play this, and if you guys found this helpful or useful, subscribe for more videos like this. But until next time, game massively. Game massively.
Trucks loaded with ethanol around the valley, supplying their outposts and garages with fuel. You can stunt their supply by blowing them up, or better yet, you can hijack the trucks and bring them to Prosperity or any other liberated outpost.
I'm fucking exhausted. Help me! Oh God, please help! Oh Christ! Please help me!